UFC Nashville, Sandhagen versus Font. Let's break this down. Last week I was 12-0 with my picks. If you picked any one of my fighters to win, you probably would have won some money. This is going to take place at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, United States. Our first main card of the night, or sorry, our main card of the night is Corey Sandhagen versus Ron Font, followed by Jessica Andrade versus Tatiana Suarez. Then we have Dustin Jacoby, number 14, fighting number 15, Kennedy Nzechukwu. I'm going with Kennedy on this one. I think he's just coming into his prime. Diego Lopez, Gavin Tucker, Tanner Bozeman, Alice Camora, Ignacio Baja Mendez versus Ludovic Klein, Dylan Quarantino versus Damian Jackson, Kyler Phillips, Ronnie Barcelos, Jeremy Wells versus Carlton Harris, Sean Woodson versus Jesse Butler, Cody Durden versus Jake Hadley, and Odie Osborne against Asu Almabayoff. So let's start with the first card of the night. Odie Osborne is 12-5 with one no contest. Look like Sue is 0-0-0. I don't know how well that is, how accurate that is. Odie Osborne won his last fight. This is Sue's debut. Odie's fighting out of Jamaica. Sue is fighting out of Kazakhstan, where a lot of good fighters come from. There's no height, weight, reach, or leg for Sue, but Odie's height. By the way, he's a firecracker, man. His height is 5'7", 130, 73-inch reach with 39 leg reach. And let's see what they win by. 45% come by TKO for Odie, 36% come from sub, 18% for decision. Average fight time, 0 minutes for Sue, 5 minutes and 50 seconds average fight time for Odie. Knockdown average per 15.64, so about 65% of the time he's getting a knockdown in 15 minutes. Landed per minute, 4.31. Significant strikes, 39% to Sue's 0%. I'm sure all these are new stats because he's debuting. Absorbed per minute, 4.63. Defense is 46%. Let's look at the grappling. Looks like Odie likes to take people down. He gets about a little over 1.25 takedowns per 15. Takedown accuracy, 27%. Takedown defense, 72%, with a 0.32 submission. So every 3 fights, I would say he's getting a takedown. There's no odds on this. As of the moment of this taping, you should be able to find, if you like Odie and or Azu, you can always look up your fight props and all that on fight.io. I'm not sponsored by them. If they want to sponsor me, that would be awesome, but it's a good site to go to get your odds. Odie is he has a lot of good fights, talented on the feet. I like him, but he's inconsistent in his fights. His fighting style is either exciting, but too many questions and too many question marks. He will be better on the feet, but if he gets taken down, I could see Almabayoff grinding out a decision. So for that, let's see, average fight time, 5 minutes and 50 seconds. So I guess the safety would be fight doesn't go to decision. That would probably be the most reasonable, unless Odie can get a knockout or even a Zoo. I wouldn't bet on it because Zoo could be a speed train on the way to the top of the division. We just have to see where he stands up against Odie. As far as Zoo Almabayev, good on his feet, not great, but he doesn't suck either. His ground game is strong. It's where he shines. But Odie could win if he can keep it on the feet. So my bet is over 1.5 rounds, and my official pick is Almabayev, just because wrestlers tend to win over strikers. But Odie definitely has a shot. So the safety bet is over 1.5. I was 12-0 last week with that, and I believe it's a fairly safe bet. So that's my opinion on this site. I think it's going to be a banger. Whoever wins, I won't bet on it. But if you want to just put in all my parlays with my overs and my unders, I think as of last week I showed that I know what I'm talking about. Next up, we have Cody Durden versus Jake Hadley. He's 15-4 to Jake Hadley's 10-1. Both won their last fights. One's fighting out of the United States, the other fighting out of United Kingdom. They're both 5'7", 126 in weight. Cody has a 67-inch reach, and Jake Hadley has a 70-inch reach, so about 3 inches, and about a half an inch in leg reach. Let's see what they win by. So it looks like they're both going over about 1.5. So I would say that that's my bet because of their statistics. No one fighter is like Jake Hadley can definitely put out Cody Durden, but at the same time, I could see this going over 7 minutes and 30 seconds very easily. Jake has good leg strikes to set up his striking, strong wrestling and grappling, great defense, and striking and grappling, just an overall well-rounded fighter. Only one loss against Alan Nascimento, who is a rocket ship to the top of the division. He got out-grappled in that fight. It happens. All he can do is learn from it. And his last fight proved he's consistently getting better for, a flyweight. He has KO power as well. I like Jake Hadley in this one. I would say over 1.5, and you should be safe. Then we have Cody Durden. He's a wrestler with crazy strikes. I could see him out wrestling Jake in the first, and then Jake taking over, or Jake dominating either way. I see Jake winning, and with that being said, Cody has a chance, so I won't bet this fight. If I would bet it, it would be the over 1.5. If you're going to be bet on anything, which I am super confident about, the one over 1.5. So these guys are, pretty much beasts. Let's see significant strikes. It looks like Jake Hadley's landing one more punch and barely absorbing one more punch. Significant strikes 50 to 48. Defense is 62 to 48. Let's see how many fights he has. So he only has five fights, and 11 fights. So absorb per minute is probably higher in the higher level competition. His defense is pretty good though. Grappling, takedown average 5.73 for Cody Durden, to just 0.47 for Jake Hadley. Takedown accuracy 48%. Let's again look at his fights. He has about 20 fights, so 5.73, and his fights are pretty strong. Takedown accuracy 48%, whereas Jake Hadley's 100%. Takedown defense is 71% to Jake Hadley's 37%, and that's where I see Cody Durden possibly grinding out a decision. But submission average, he's got almost 2 submissions per 15 for Jake Hadley, and just a measly 0.23, which is like less than 8x. Like Jake Hadley has 8 times more almost submission average than Cody Durden. No odds for this fight. With that being said, I would say, let's see if we can find it. Bear with me. Okay. So yeah, I'm super confident about the over 1.5. This is not financial advice, but this is just my opinion. Next up, we have Jeremiah Wells in the welterweight division facing Carlston Harris. Jeremiah Wells has a good record of 12-2-1, so 15 fights, whereas Carlston Harris has about 23 fights, so about 8 more fights for Carlston Harris. Both their last fights they won. United States, Guyana, 5'9" to 6 foot for Carlston Harris, both under 170-ish. 74-inch reach for Jeremiah Wells, 76 for Carlston Harris. 40 leg inch reach advantage for 40-inch leg reach for Jeremiah, and 42% for Carlston Harris. I like, as far as Jeremiah Wells goes, I like this guy. His fight style, he's well-rounded, has a big gas tank and uses it well, hits hard, slick wrestling. I would pick him to win, but won't bet moneyline, even though moneyline is solid. Over 1.5 looks better because they're basically about a minute away from 7.5. Or you could bet fight doesn't go to decision, but over 1.5 is live. Next up, we have Carlston Harris, dangerous with great wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I could see this fight going so many ways, and for that's why I'm solid with the over 1.5. I think Carlston Harris grinds him out on the feet a little bit and wears him out, but 7 minutes and 30 seconds is not an unreasonable time. I'm not going to hit every time, but I have strong faith that these fighters are pretty well matched in a lot of areas, and Carlston Harris has the grappling advantage. But I will take Jeremiah Wells for this fight. Next up, we have Kyler Phillips facing Ronnie Barcelos. Kyler Phillips has 10 wins, 2 losses, whereas Ronnie Barcelos has 17 wins, 4 losses. His last fight for Kyler Phillips, he won. Ronnie Barcelos lost his last fight. One's fighting out of the United States, being Kyler Phillips, and one's fighting out of Brazil, Ronnie Barcelos. There's about a 1-inch height advantage in favor of Kyler. They both fight, well, I'm surprised, I'm assuming this is going to be a catch weight for like 140 or something, because the discrepancy is 20 pounds. It looks like Kyler Phillips has about a 5-inch reach, and Ronnie Barcelos has a 1-inch in leg reach advantage. This is where we really figure out the game. So again, over 1.5. These guys' fights last at least minimum 10 minutes on average. So I think that's live. I wouldn't bet either fighter because I don't know too much about their background. They have almost the same amount of strikes landed per minute. Significant strikes, Ronnie's edging by about 3%. Absorbed per minute, 3.43 for Kyler Phillips and 5.6 for Ronnie Barcelos. So he's getting about 1.5 more hits off. Their striking defense is identical. This is where we're going to figure it out. So looks like Kyler Phillips is big in the takedowns. He's got almost double the takedowns as Ronnie Barcelos. Takedown accuracy is 50% to 41. Takedown defense is 69 for Kyler Phillips and 93 for Ronnie Barcelos. Their submission averages, Kyler Phillips is breaching submission per 15, and Ronnie's under about a half a submission per 15. The odds, you never get the odds. So for this one, I'm going to go with Ronnie first. Great combos mixed with strong wrestling. He's got a lot in the toolbox. If he overcomes his last losses, I would pick him, but I'm going with Kyler, and I'm only going with Kyler because he's shown a man bounces around the cage like a break dancer. He's going to probably get the win, but I could see this fight again going over 1.5. And as you saw in my last video, I hit 12 for 12, so you can get my picks. Eventually, I'm going to start a Patreon and give you all my picks so that you can utilize them, because 12-0 is spectacular, man. So yeah, that's my pick, over 1.5, and I feel safe with that. I know I did it with Justin Gaethje last night and Dustin Poirier, but Dustin, but I bet fight didn't go to decision mostly, so that hit for me. I'm also with Caesars. I can pick John Jones. I can pick Islam. I can pick Corey Sandhagen. I can pick multiple fighters in multiple weight classes and have a good chance of winning. So I don't think that it's a lock for either fighter, but I do see this fight going over 1.5. Now let's get to Claudio Ribeiro, Damon Jackson and Billy Quarantino. Billy is 17-5 losses, whereas Damon Jackson's 22 wins, 5 losses, 1 no contest. They both lost their last fight. Both fighting out of the United States. 1 inch reach and 1 inch height advantage for Damon Jackson. Both fighting at 145. A 1 inch reach advantage for Damon Jackson and a 3.5 inch in leg reach for Damon Jackson. Let's see what they win by. So their average fight time, again another 1.5 just because of their fight time. And you don't have to parlay all these together. I know the odds would be better, but I feel like these guys are tough, and I don't think they're getting out early. Wow. Billy Quarantino lands almost 8 strikes per minute, whereas Damon Jackson's doing about 3. So Billy Quarantino's landing almost 5 more strikes per minute than Billy Quarantino is. Billy Quarantino's landing about 8 more strikes than Damon Jackson. Significant strikes, 58% to 40. Absorbed per minute, 5.79, which could be a problem, to just 2.92. Defense, Billy's down to 40%, whereas Damon's at 51. This is where it's going to be important. Takedown average. So Billy Quarantino and Damon Jackson. Damon Jackson's getting about 1 more takedown per 15. Takedown accuracy, 38% for Damon Jackson to 23% for Billy. Billy has 58% takedown defense to Damon Jackson's 40%. Submissions, they're pretty active in their submissions. Billy's getting about 1 every 15, whereas Damon's getting almost 2 per 15. Let's see if we can get the odds. Billy Quarantino's good money, but I would, again, bet the over 1.5, because these fighters, if you look right here, best bets you can get on the YouTube internet. I was 12-12 last week, so let's see what we can do in the main event for Sandhagen versus Font. Our next matchup is Ignacio Baja Mendez versus Ludovic Klein. We have a 14-4 for Ignacio and a 19-4 for Ludovic with 1 draw. His last fight was a draw. Ignacio's last fight was a win. One's from Chile, the other's from Slovakia. 163, one's 5'7". Ignacio's going to have a huge amount of reach and not a huge amount of reach, but a huge amount of ability to duck and dodge those punches. They're fighting at 155. It looks like maybe 160. There's about 3-inch reach advantage for Ignacio and about a 1-inch reach in legs for Ignacio. Let's see how they win. 64% of the time. Ignacio's winning by KO. Ludovic's winning by KO 44% of the time. He has about 7% submissions, Ignacio, and 44% for Ludovic. Decision, 29% of the time, and 11.5% of the time for Ludovic. The average fight time is about 12 minutes and 30 seconds. And they get a knockdown about every other fight, it looks like. I'm going to really look at the 12.5 and 12 and 16 seconds as a sign to probably do the over on this one, even though Ignacio's for a knockout, and I'm sure Ludovic is too. So it's almost 8 punches landed per minute, which is 5 more than his opponent. Significant strikes, 48%, which that's a pretty solid number considering he's throwing 8 punches per minute. Absorbed per minute for Ignacio is 4.51, and Ludovic is 3.67. They got a 58% defense and significant strikes, and for Ludovic it's 49%. Let's see the grappling because this will really dictate it. Yeah, it looks like Ludovic goes for takedowns quite often. He's getting about 1.25 takedowns per 15. His accuracy is 40%, but Ignacio's takedown defense is 95%, and Ludovic's is 81. So Ignacio is quite closer to 100% defense than Ludovic is. He's about 14% off. Submission average is 0.47 for Ignacio and 0 for Ludovic. Let's see the odds. The odds are in Ignacio's favor, which makes sense. He is a solid fighter, really tall, really able to mix things up. I like him, one, because he's 6'3", fighting at lightweight, and 2, because he's fun to watch. Minus 200 is good money. I don't see this fight going the distance. Ignacio by KO is live, but I bet it's safe, so this fight not going the distance is going to be my pick, where Ludovic, he's a good kickboxer. He won 2 of his last 3. I see this as a firefight. Like Justin Gaethje would say, maybe a car crash for the ages. I see them both swinging and banging. Pumped for this fight, bro. I'm excited. I'm going to have to go with Ignacio if you want to know my pick, but it's not very confident. What is confident is this fight will not go to decision. Diego Lopez versus Gavin Tucker. So this is a pretty good matchup. Diego's got about 30 fights, close to it, and Gavin Tucker only has 15, but they both lost their last 2 fights. Brazil and Canada is where they're from. Obviously, Diego Lopez is from Brazil. 5'11" to 5'6". It's a 5-inch height advantage, which is good for moving and ducking and dodging, and they're fighting at 146. It looks like Gavin Tucker is about 6.5 inches in shorter reach than Diego Lopez, and about 3 inches for the leg. So he has quite a bit of distance, enough to dictate rounds. These fights go an average of 11 minutes 44 seconds to 12 minutes 36 seconds. So I think this one's live for the over. TKO 30% of the time, whereas Gavin Tucker's 31% of the time. Submission 52% of the time, and 46 for Gavin Tucker. Decision, he doesn't really go to decision, and neither does Gavin Tucker. So this should be a firefight. Another good, well-rounded, competitive fight. Landed per minute, Diego has 2.26, whereas Gavin Tucker has 4.39. Significant strikes 52% to just 45. Absorbed per minute 5.24 compared to 4.28. So he's getting hit almost one more time per minute, which is can be a deal breaker. The defense is low and the defense is high, so we'll see it. Gavin Tucker doesn't have as many fights as Diego Lopez, so he's earned his percentages for sure. Takedown average, it looks like Gavin's taking people down, which is good. That'll tell you where the fight is probably going to be. 42% takedown accuracy, 53% takedown defense to just 36 for Diego Lopez. Submission average 4.17 per 15 to 1.49. So about every other minute, Diego's looking for a submission. There's no bets on this. I would go over 1.5 just because of their record. I'm not super confident in it. I wouldn't bet on it, but I think it's a safe bet. I think you'd be pretty okay with that. Next up, we have Dustin Jacoby versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. I believe Kennedy's going to win this one. He's 12-3. Only lost to really high elite athletes. Dustin Jacoby got 18-7-1. So he's looking at about 26 fights to 15. So he got about 10 more fights on him. Dustin's last fight was a loss. Kennedy's was a win. I remember he knocked the dude out on his feet. 165, the other 6'3", both from the United States. 206 pounds for Dustin, and Kennedy got about 205. Reach, it looks like he has a 7-inch reach on him, which is going to dictate the pace a lot, and a 2-inch reach in legs. Let's see how they went by. So again, with the average fight time, I would say over 1.5. Don't bet it with every fight. Bet it, mix them up so that, God forbid, a Justin Gaethje happens where he knocks him out in the beginning of round 2, you don't want to be left exposed. TKO 73% for Kennedy. Dustin 61%, just 6% submissions to 0 for Kennedy, 33% to decision to 27%. And we spoke about their average fight time, which is over 7.5. Knockdown average about the same. About every 1 out of every 3 is definitely getting knocked down. So let's see what we got to say about our boy Kennedy, because I'm going for him in this one big time, big time. Dustin lost his last 2, and Kennedy's won his last 3. Impressed me his last fight. For that reason, I'm going Kennedy. Kennedy, I like his style, dirty boxing, 83-inch reach, 7-inch to Dustin. He's got a good wrestling and takedown defense. I'm going over 1.5 in this instead of the money line for Kennedy, which I think won't be bad. I think we'll be all right with that. Next up, we got Jessica Andrade versus Tatiana Suarez. Man, this fight, so many questions, so many questions. Jessica Andrade is 24-11, so she's 35 fights. Tatiana only has 10, so she's fought about 3.5 times more, 2.5 times more than Tatiana Suarez. Jessica Andrade's last fight was a loss. Tatiana's was a win. One's fighting out of Brazil, the other's fighting in the United States. One's 5-5, which is Tatiana Suarez, to 5-1 for Jessica Andrade. They're going down to, I believe, strawweight, so that Jessica can have a little bit more of an advantage. 4-inch reach for Tatiana and 4-inch reach for legs for Tatiana. So if she can use her distance well, she can win the fight. 38% for TKO, 20% for Tatiana. Subs, 33% for Jessica. Tatiana's 50%, so she's a whole 17% better than her. Decisions are about the same at 30. Average fight time is over 7.5, so that's why I would pick that. Mix it in with other bets that you believe are going to win. Landed per minute, almost 7 for Jessica Andrade, and about 4.5 for Tatiana Suarez. So she's hitting 2.5 times more than Jessica Andrade is hitting 2.5 more times than Tatiana Suarez. Significant strikes, 50% for Jessica Andrade, 66 for Tatiana Suarez. Absorbed per minute, 5.4 to just 1.34. Defense, 54% for Jessica Andrade and only 49% for Tatiana Suarez, which is still really good. Takedown average per 15. Tatiana's going for the takedown every round, looks like twice a round. And Jessica's doing it about 2.5 times, 2 3/4 times, trying to get takedowns. Takedown accuracy is 54% to 58 for Tatiana. Takedown defense is 73 to 100 for Tatiana. Submission average 0.4 to 0.76. So it looks like Tatiana's working for a submission at least once a fight. We don't have odds on this, but again, with the stats, I would bet over 1.5. And our featured bout of the night, the main card, the main event, Corey Sandhagen versus Rob Font. Man, that's a good matchup. 16 wins, 4 losses, 20 wins, 6 losses. Both won their last fights, both fighting out of the United States. Corey Sandhagen's got about 3-inch reach, 3-inch in height for Corey Sandhagen. They're both fighting at 135. Rob Font's got about 1.5 inches more reach than Corey, and Corey has about 1.5 inches in foot reach, which can be, a decision maker if he's getting those kicks off correctly. KOs 44% to 45, very even. 19 subs for they're pretty much dead even, dude. 19 subs for Corey Sandhagen, Rob Font 20, 38% for Corey Sandhagen to 35% for Rob Font. Average fight time over 7.5 minutes, so the 1.5 is live. Significant strikes, they're pretty even. Looks like Rob Font's getting a half a strike more. And significant strikes, Rob Font's up by 2%, 44 to 46. Absorbed per minute, 3.9 to 4.3, really close. Defense 57% to 56%, so Corey Sandhagen has better defense than Rob Font. Takedown average about 1 for Rob Font and almost 1 for Corey Sandhagen. Takedown accuracy 21% for Corey Sandhagen, whereas Rob Font's 36%. 64% takedown defense, which is almost 10% better than Rob Font. Submission average 0.3, so every 3 fights he's going after a submission, or once a round he's going after a submission. Whereas Rob Font's trying to ease up to getting almost 1 submission per 2 rounds. So that's pretty good. The odds, I think the money line on Corey Sandhagen is beautiful. I would take it if I was you. I would parlay that with some other stuff that I figured out. Go check out my old video. It's not that old. UFC 291. Compare notes. See how many I got right. See how many I got wrong. You'd be surprised. this is going to be a war. But I think if you put your money on Corey Sandhagen, you're gonna